Well, everything's coming up Trump, y'all. First, he got cheered at the Super Bowl, and then a poll came out showing his highest approval ratings ever. It seems many Americans love Trump. Of course, when I was a kid, many Americans loved doing the Macarena, so it wouldn't be the first time that millions of white people in this country failed to realize how utterly ridiculous their movement looked. But still, what does it really even say about Trump? You know, so he got cheered at the Super Bowl. Oh, you mean the football game with $5,000 ticket prices? Yeah, you mean a bunch of senior VPs and dealership owners turned out to be pro-Trump? The hell you say? That's like saying, man, can you believe that opening night Broadway musical crowd cheered when Cher stood up? Yeah, I can believe that. Let me know when Trump gets that kind of reaction at a HBCU game. All right, as far as the polls, of course his people approve. He's doing all the things he said he would do, and not enough time has passed yet for those things to blow up in this country's face in a way that would be comical if it didn't portend an ignominious doom. Like, of course, they're popping bottles right now. Right now, they get to have all the juice of sticking it to the Mexicans without having to feel any of the squeeze of selling bone marrow for fruit money. Right? And in these polls, Americans describe Trump as tough and energetic. Of course, so are tornadoes, right? But there's no denying Trump has been very active, right? So active, in fact, that honestly, it kind of makes me retroactively madder at the Democrats. I'm like, you mean over the years, whenever y'all did have some power, that whole time, you could have been doing stuff? Because I was told time and time again that under no circumstances were y'all able to do stuff. Right? MAGA's doing stuff and their people like it. Yeah, but the question is, what are those polls going to look like when all the effects of the stuff they've been doing actually start to kick in? Right? Because right now, it's like, imagine we're in a scenario where half of this country elected a guy who campaigned on getting rid of all the bees. Right? And that whole time, his supporters are like, yeah, bees suck. They sting our kids. They buzz instead of speaking English. Boo, bees. Right? Which I just realized sounds like boobies. It wasn't on purpose. But anyway, the whole time the rest of us were like, y'all really hate bees that much? Why? You know, bees actually play a very important role. It's like, shut up, bee queer. It's like, okay, I don't even know what's happening right now, but okay. And then they won that election, and sure enough, he starts killing all the bees, or at least sending them to Cuba or wherever. And right now, all his people are ecstatic. They're like, yay, no more bees. Isn't it great? Right? But in a few months or whenever, when the food chain collapses and the tomato wars start, then what are they going to say? Right? Will they back off of it then? Because I don't know. I'm starting to think that so many of them will just triple down. You know, they would just be like, actually, the Jews help trans people do sex changes on all the plants, and that's why they stopped pollinating, not the bees. I really think a huge chunk of these people would gladly watch this country starve before they would ever admit they were wrong about the woke groomer bee agenda, right? And sure, in a scenario like that, the rest of us get to know that we were right the whole time, but I fear that man cannot survive on righteous vindication alone, y'all. So really, I'd prefer we find a way to protect the damn bees. All right, you know, YouTube, I think with stories like this, it kind of all comes down to how the media covers the information, right? Let me show you what I mean. All right, y'all, we're here on Ground News' website looking at all the coverage of these polls here. It says Trump begins second term with 53% approval rating, highest of his career. You look at the coverage breakdown, 65 sources so far, many more on the right than the left or the center. I would argue that alone is telling. But if you look at the headlines here and you sort by bias, we look at left-leaning outlets, see how they're presenting it. It says Trump's on a roll, but the main game's about to begin. Seems to be implying something similar to what I was saying in my video. Most of the rest of the sources on the left kind of just give the information about the polls, don't offer much else in the way of commentary. But if you look at the right-leaning outlets, it's a different story. They can't help but dunk on everybody. It says just in poll shows Americans thrilled with Trump's second term. CBS host looks totally miserable as she reports on Trump's high approval rating. You notice here on Ground News, before you ever click a story, you can see the factuality rating. These say low. Imagine that. The bias, far right. And also you can see where the money comes from, the ownership group. It's just extra layers of context you get on Ground News. That's why I like Ground News. Been working with them for more than a year now. They add context and transparency to the media you consume. They have a lot of great features on here. You can follow along at ground.news/Trey or scan that QR code there for more information. One of my favorite features I got is the blind spot feature. This shows you stories that are not being talked about on either side of the political spectrum. What the right isn't talking about, what the left isn't talking about. This way you can get outside of your own bubble and see what's going on all the way down there at the other end for once. It's something I think would be helpful to us in these times. So if that sounds good to you, you could scan the QR code there or click the link in the description below to get 40% off the highest tiered unlimited access Vantage plan. That's like $5 a month, or you could try the website or app for free. Either way, the time is now. Push back on the bias and BS. Check out Ground News today. All right, YouTube, and we're back. You know, anytime I make a video that has something like that in it, where it's like me kind of dunking on future Americans for being wrong, you know, whenever I turn out to be right and you turn out to be wrong, you'll see, right? Part of the little back of my head, in the back of my head going like, maybe you shouldn't do that. You know, who knows? You're wrong about all kinds of stuff, Trey. You're wrong about everything football and marriage related. You're wrong about so much stuff. You know, so what if you're wrong about this, you know, because it might make you look bad in the future. But then I realize, like, in this case, it's like, A, I'm pretty sure I'm not wrong. And B, if I am wrong and they're right, and it's like, hey, we got rid of all the criminals and it's a new American golden age. Yeah, all right, I can get a new Jeep or whatever. That's fine. Like, I would have no problem admitting I'm wrong when it's the result of that is prosperity for us all. Right now, I don't believe that's ever going to happen. But see, I don't think they believe that I or anyone on the left would do that. They really think that we would be like them, would refuse to admit that we were wrong, even when it meant a better outcome for Americans nationwide. But I really would. So it's, you know, if I'm wrong and they're right, things are good. If they're wrong and I'm right, it's the end of everything. Maybe not I shouldn't say everything, but it's the end of like a lot of stuff. It's the end of a lot of like cool stuff, like all this, like the whole America thing, that whole thing. You guys remember that thing? I've always been pretty big proponent of that thing, the America thing, and I feel like it might end if I'm right, if we're right about how bad this stuff could be. So, you know, that would be a shame. I'd hate to see that happen, but yeah, it's just not, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter how bad things got or whatever. A certain contingent of these people would just never be able to admit that they were wrong about any of it. You could have it spelled out directly to their face. Every farmer in this country could come together and be like, this is what happened. This is why everything sucks. And they'll be like, I don't buy it. There's globalists involved here somehow. And I just don't really know what we're supposed to do with any of that. But for now, you just got to let them have their fun, do their dunking. You know, again, nothing has really happened yet other than the beginning of it all. And of course, at the beginning, they're going to be stoked. None of us should be surprised by this. None of us should let it get to you. It was always the natural outcome, right? They got a lot to be fired up about. They do, until all the fires start, okay? And I'm not rooting for the fires. I ain't got no gas cans. I'm not going to set no fires. I don't like fire. I'd prefer to be no fire. I just kind of smell smoke off in the distance. That's all I'm saying. I just sort of expect there to be fires. But anyway, we'll see. And I really do. I hope I'm wrong. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Put these little things up here. This is, my special, once again, it's going to be there until I got another one to put in its place, okay? So just get used to it. And then also you can subscribe to the channel. You can see all these videos of my podcast and whatnot. Most important one for me, the other one, is TreyCrowder.com. It's one of these. It's my website. It's got my tour dates where I do stand-up comedy. If I'm coming near you, you should come see me. If you like these, you'll like that. I truly believe it. It's a fun time. But either way, as long as you keep watching these silly things, I'll keep pumping them out, I reckon. I love you like chicken. Hang in there. See you. Bye.